Hello, everyone. I got a surprise for everyone. We've got the brilliant DJ Lippy here to talk to us today, who is in dinosaur form at the moment. Hello, DJ Lippy. How are you doing?
Hello!
Jesus Christ. It just looks like a kind of purple nightmare up this goes, hey, there you are. Hello, how's it going? Thank you very much for coming on. Were you at Philia this weekend?
I wasn't, no, unfortunately. I've just had a bit on with organising a protest that I can chat to you a little bit about later. So I had to take a little bit of break off because
that's a good lead in. That's a good lead in to we've come to talk about. There is a protest that started as just a London-based thing to persuade companies to come out of Stonewall, but it's kind of spread around the country. Can you tell us what's happening?
Yeah. Well, I got the idea. Bearing in mind, it's next week is the LGBT Alliance launch. Yes. And there's been such heat about Stonewall in the past week or so. There's the Nolan Investigates podcast came out, and a lot of heat that Kathleen Stock has been taken, and she's a member of the I think she's a board member of the LGBT Alliance. Mm-hmm. And I previously organised the dinosaur protest a couple of weeks before then, and I thought there's no better time to strike while the iron's hot and organise a protest to show that lesbians, gays, bisexuals are not happy with Stonewall. They do not represent us. We think that the Stonewall Diversity champions need to come out of Stonewall. We've come out of Stonewall, and we're just there to sort of make some noise and just to sort of express our personal disdain with this organisation, Stonewall, and the way that they've been misrepresenting the law and speaking on our behalf and basically making us all look like maniacs, basically.
Where are Stonewall? Where, in your view, where are Stonewall failing the most?
I mean, where do you start? I don't know where to start. I mean, on the one hand, you've got all the belief system, which is a really niche, anti-science, anti-biology. It's almost anti-evolution. You know, they deny that the sexes are really important in human development. And there's all like the sort of erasure of homosexuality with gender identity, that they're actually sort of incompatible worldviews, and one naturally erases the other one. But also, I just think the general attitude, the way they've been behaving is so anti-democratic, it's so authoritarian, and it's truly, truly scary and terrifying how much power they've been granted and where that's come from and what is going on with this equality index, because it just feels like all these companies are going crazy to try and get to the top of this scheme. And what is at the top of the equality index? Do you get a lollipop or something? Like, why?
Yeah, it seems to exist for its own sake. It seems to just be a thing that companies seem to want to get up to just so they can stop thinking about it or something. Yeah. It's been an absurd situation. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just going to get myself a little bit adjusted. Okay. Yeah.
How do those costumes work? Is there a pump in there?
Yeah, there's like a little fan. I can show you here, and you get a little box, and it sort of fills the suit up with air. It's sort of relatively airtight, and then it just.
Yeah. I'm so happy that David Lammy chose that word. You know, it's produced some fantastic laughs over the last few weeks. So thank you for everything. I was at the protest outside the Lancet, which was great. And at that, was it you who did the eggs outside the Labour Party headquarters?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it when he said that. At the Labour Party conference, I remember thinking at the time, like, somebody needs to get some dinosaur suits and start chasing them around, because I could really see it. It's almost like a thick of it sketch, you know, like, and a politician can't really get angry with a giant inflatable dinosaur. No. And I got the idea, and then I just put out the concept on Crowdfunder, and within a matter of hours, I'd fundraised all of the monies for 3 suits, and then got the idea for the protest. It all kind of just coalesced.
Yeah.
And then as things were going on, I saw a lot of the women when they were saying with the hoarding rights, and somebody had like a load of jars, and it was like the Equal Pay Act, maternity pay. And it was a great visual metaphor for women's rights. But I just thought, what the dinosaurs have is eggs. And also, like in the debate, it's difficult to get across what rights we are losing sometimes to people, because if you just say single-sex spaces, then doesn't always go through. So some of it was like, how do you boil it down into a couple of words? What are the issues with replacing sex with gender identity in law? And so that's just what I thought the eggs would be perfect for that, and it just so happens that it's hilarious to try and hold a whole bunch of eggs when you're in a giant inflatable dinosaur suit. So.
You mean hoard a whole bunch of eggs, I think. So Stonewall, the relationship between Stonewall and the LGBT Alliance is a fascinating one, because now we have a multi-part documentary that exposes how completely incoherent the ideology they've been pushing on all these institutions is, how captured all the institutions are. Got a 10-episode series that details that. And apparently Stop Funding Hate are writing to the BBC to complain, while also they are attacking the LGBT Alliance, against whom there is no evidence of hate or anything like this. Do you think it's going to be hard to undo all the harm that Stonewall has done to British society?
I do, and it's so shocking to see the amount of companies that are in the diversity scheme. You might as well write a list of the people that aren't in the diversity scheme, and it's there's movement with some of them coming out, but the rest of them, it's just difficult to know how to unravel it, and if it's not Stonewall, it could be somebody else. And it's just a lot of these charities like Stop Funding Hate. I mean, I don't know where they get their authority from. A lot of these groups that sound really good, but actually, I don't know if they're truly representing any groups or their interests.
Straight people. They're representing straight people.
Yeah, and
like I noticed Russell Davis was saying that he made a point. I think it was Helen pointed out that he made a point of pronouncing all these words without a letter, as if the letter T was absolutely essential to the word to LGB. But of course, the T is everything after LGB just means straight. So this seems to me like a straight push to get into gay spaces.
Well, that's exactly what it feels like to me. It feels like all the straight people have invaded the LGBT banner and then kicked out all the actual homosexuals, and a lot of allyship people think they're doing the right thing, and I think they've jumped on the back of gay rights, because I think a lot of people started out supporting them because they realized they didn't want to be homophobic. They've got gay friends, gay family, and they want to make amends, I suppose, for that historic wrong and the historic homophobia. But it's just shocking. In my own at my own university, the LGBT office, the student officer, she didn't exactly say it in the bio, but she did. I'm pretty sure she was a straight woman, And it just feels like something to tick off to put on the CV. She doesn't really have any interest. The only platform she was running on was that she needs to make the community more inclusive. And I just think, some things are supposed to be exclusive. Some spaces are supposed to be gay-only spaces, lesbian-only spaces. Most space is straight space. Most space is mixed gay space and straight space, but inevitably straight space. Gays, lesbians, bisexuals need places where they can go, where it is just them, even if it's just as simple as when you go to a bar and you want to hook up, then you want to know that you want to know that the people there are on the same page as you. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, I'm sure it's the same across the board with a lot of universities. I went to the open day, and they had these LGBT things everywhere, but they had a lot of them with sexualities I don't know, like scaliosexual or
these are
the ridiculous ones. And I just find it offensive, because it's being asexual, I'm sure it has its own difficulties, but you don't get thrown off a roof in Saudi Arabia because you're asexual. You know what I mean? being demisexual, just being attracted to people when you have an emotional connection. I mean, that is surely like most people. That should be most people, you know. But it's just because we live in such a hypersexualized world, they've managed to make that a niche sexual identity. But again, this is like identity coming into contact with sexual orientation, and it's conflated it in their minds. So people, it's almost like downgraded homosexuality to be just like a kink or, you know.
Yes, that's what it does, doesn't it? When it includes all these kinks in the letters, then it downgrades homosexuality to being a kink. I never thought of it like that, but that seems absolutely bang on. You know, I mean, why should these people have any entrance into the LGBT kind of community? You know, a lot of them are straight. It's crazy. But anyway, sorry, I'm repeating myself now. So what's happening on Friday? Can you start with the London event? What did you originally want it to be, and what has it become?
Well, it was basically just to, first of all, we were thinking we were going to target Stonewall's offices and have a protest outside there, but then the office is a bit far out in London, and I don't know, like, even though we're all LGBT ourselves, I don't know what the optics would look like of going and attacking Stonewall itself, you know. And also, Stonewall don't care. Stonewall won't listen. I think that we'd be better putting our energies into the organizations who are members of the diversity scheme, because I think that's at the heart of a lot of wrongs in this. You know, if they left the diversity scheme, a lot of Stonewall's sort of influence and power would evaporate. And there's a lot of organizations who are in the diversity champion scheme, and it's because they're members of those schemes that they've misrepresented the law and put women, especially women and also lesbians, gays and bisexuals, into harm's way. So we've decided, I'm not going to give too many details away here, but we're going to meet up at the Millicent Fawcett, that's the way you say it, statue in Parliament Square at noon on Friday. And then we're going to go on a tour of some of the worst offenders, and may or may not end up at a BBC broadcasting house, because the BBC's got quite a lot of mud on its hands when it comes to what's been happening with Stonewall and gender identity ideology.
Great. So that's the London one. So what's been happening? But it's been spreading, hasn't it? It's kind of caught fire a little bit.
Yeah. So this is partially to do with shoppers groups who started out on Twitter, and they were a way to organise. And there's a lot of women out there who, you know, don't know any local turban, and they wanted to get connected. So somebody's set up various networks across the country, and I think we're just itching to get out there and start getting active. So I've been speaking to an organizer in Belfast. They're going to organise a protest outside BBC Broadcasting House. Will be at 4:00 on the Sunday, and also in Edinburgh. They're also going to do a little tour of the notorious Stonewall champions. And they're going to start off at Waverley Gate, which is Waterloo Place, I believe, which I think is a newspaper office. And I don't think they've been behaving very well in their like remit as a, you know, truthful broadcaster. Okay. If you want to follow along, the hashtag is Come Out of Stonewall, and we'll be posting things all day, so you can follow along. There'll be loads of inflatable dinosaur costumes, which are absolutely hilarious for going on Twitter, because there's a little waddle when you walk.
Yeah. I followed one for a good few hours one day, or a lad that day at the Lancet. So is there any way that people who can't physically appear can join in? Is there any kind of thing they can sign up to and so on?
Yeah, we've got about 5 main actions for armchair warriors, armchair Amazons, because this is the thing, it's not always easy to get to London or to the capitals. So we're asking people to write to companies who are members of the Stonewall Diversity Scheme and ask them to leave. It's no good, I don't think, you know, messaging Stonewall or, you know, trying to petition Stonewall. It's been tried to death. So write to the Stonewall Diversity Scheme. There's a template letter on the Yes Matters website. It's a little bit out of date, so it might need updating. I think there's some work happening on that during the week. So hopefully by Friday, there'll be a template you can use. Even if not, you can just take out a lot of the information. A lot of it is still relevant because they've been misrepresenting the law, basically. So you can write a letter, pick 5 or not organizations if you've got a personal link with them, if it's your union, your school, your old university. And you don't have to be lesbian, gay, or bisexual to write the letter. You can just write it as an ally. Or if you have a protected characteristic that is impacted by the lobbying that Stonewall's been doing, this is not just an issue that affects lesbians, gays, and bisexuals. It also affects women and people with protected beliefs and religions. So if you can say a little bit about how maybe it's affected you and your rights to access your legal rights, I think that the personal touch can be really, really powerful. Also, what else are we doing? Okay, so I don't know if you saw this, but a few days after the dinosaur protests, on Google Maps, a lot of dinosaurs started appearing outside of the offices of buildings who've been treating women very, very badly, and women were leaving 1-star reviews on the Google Maps review system.
Right.
So I'm just suggesting people, if they so wish, you can go on the Sex Matters website and there's a list of all the Stonewall Diversity champions. So I'm suggesting if you want to, if you go on and you go on the maps and a photo comes up on the left, if you click on that photo, a little icon will come up and it'll say add photo. So if you want to add any of the dinosaur pictures, I'm going to put a little JPEG out with a little message to say, these people are, homophobic, or, they support Stonewall and they're homophobic. And also to leave a little review. I think we underestimate the power of story and writing something personal. I think you can have thousands of dry statistics, but lobby groups, what they do is they take a story and they'll use that to push whatever they wish. So if you want to write a little bit about how you've been harmed by Stonewall in the reviews of the buildings and people who are members, I think it's time that we got on the offensive and started using our power to sort of pressurize companies and make them, I suppose, lose face, because that's why a lot of people do things.
Can I also add a company to that? I think people should also write to Stop Funding Hate, which started off as an organization that we thought were objecting to right-wing media lies, but now they're turning around and with no evidence at all, they're calling the LGBT Alliance a hate group, and they're promoting Stonewall. So I think they would be a good one to target as well.
Yeah. Also, follow the hashtag. Hashtag is
come out of Stonewall.
Come out of Stonewall. Even just liking and retweeting, even if you've got a small account, it drives the Twitter algorithm, and that can really signal boost and get it out to a wider platform. Trying to get it trending on Twitter, because that way it doesn't matter if you're involved in the debate, it might come up on your side, so it might be a good in way for people. Also, in news that will surprise no one, David Paisley is asking his followers to report the Nolan Investigates podcast to the BBC. So I would encourage anybody. There's a complaint, a complaints form, but you can say, I really liked that. So I'm going to encourage people to send a letter of support about the Nolan podcast to the BBC, and also share that with your friends and family, because I think that's a great way to open up difficult conversations.
The Nolan podcast is a brilliant way to introduce people to the debate, because it's so clear and it really takes people by the hand and it brings people in and explains exactly why people like ourselves are so disturbed by Stonewall. So it's a great peaking tool, I think, the podcast. Yeah, go on.
As much as I'd like to think that everyone's interested in reading Sheila Jeffries and, things like that, I think for a lot of normies, maybe if feminism doesn't mean anything to them, or single-sex spaces, things like this, it's not everyone's cup of tea. But I think there's a lot of information in that podcast, which I think is really interesting, really funny. But also, I think a lot of people would be interested in what's happening and would disagree with the behaviour of Stonewall and the message that it's pushing. So it's definitely a good one to share. And also, lastly, but no means leastly, on the day. Now, unfortunately, we can't get any sisters in Wales organising and protesting, because they are busy with a piece of activism they've been working on. There's an LGBT group in Wales, and they've got a gender critical group, and I can never say the name, so I'm not going to attempt to say the name.
I know it's what is it? Miracum? No, I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't try it either.
I'm really sorry.
I'm so sorry to everyone, all my Welsh friends, for that one. Both those attempts.
Miracumri? I don't know.
Yes, but that sounded good. That reminded me of it. Yeah.
Sounds about right. If you follow the hashtag, what is it? Can the plan?
Can the plan? Yes, that is the Welsh movement to stop the dreadful Welsh government plan to introduce Stonewall teaching throughout Welsh society.
I mean, it's by the back door, and what they've done there, and again, it's indicative of the way Stonewall function, is the Welsh government have hired Stonewall to both commission the report and then implement its findings. So it's like they've got Stonewall, they're setting the homework and then marking their own homework. So
can the plan could be seen almost as an extension of this, or vice versa. It's a good anti-Stonewall protest if you're in Wales as well.
But also you can fill it out even if you're not in Wales. I believe you can fill it out no matter where you are in the world. And this is to stop self-ID. They've got like a little template. So if you follow the hashtag Can the Plan, they've got resources there. So basically you just sort of copy it and it'll give the answers that, like, gender critical answers basically, and then if you can write a little message, again, like, don't be afraid to write something personal, or don't, if you think, I'm not really, it doesn't matter. These little personal messages can be so important to legislators. And share that. We've got a week to go. It's on the Friday's the last day, so just share it in your networks. Like I say, share it globally. It doesn't have to be in the UK. Stonewall are going into cafes with little laptops and getting random people to fill in the consultation. They're being so shady with how they're managing this consultation. They're just trying to stitch it up basically and give a fig leaf of respectability to something which is at its heart anti-democratic, anti-woman, anti-gay. That's the last piece we're going for. The hashtag Can the Plan. And support the Welsh sisters and the Welsh LGBT Alliance, because they're really under it over there. And I feel so bad for them. We go up to Scotland and you can hear all the terrible things that are happening there, and you're trying to get your head around it. I mean, I've just been up there the last year or so. It's been great to connect with what's happening in Scotland. But Wales, I feel, get a little bit left behind. They've got their kind of the half devolution, and I'm confused what laws they have, and we think if we can fix it in Westminster, then they'll be okay in Wales. But it's not, and I think that if you take your eye off the ball in Wales, Stonewall can get the legislation in there, and then they can say, "Oh, look, it works perfectly in Wales. There's no problem."
And didn't the Scottish, I mean, you don't want Wales to go around the same road as Scotland, because haven't Scotland already erased the word mother from various official documents because of Stonewall's advice? Isn't that one of the things?
So.
Extraordinary.
I can't even keep up with half of it, and I think Wales is like, they're trying to like show off against the English almost, like out of Scotland, like, yeah, we're liberal. But it's that sort of unthinking embrace of this ideology that I think a lot of progressive politicians, let's face it, politicians haven't got a Scooby-Doo what's going on in the real world, and they think the young people are into this, and they're not. It's just kids at uni. Do you know what I mean? It's
and it's a very small bunch of the children at uni. It's the slightly psychotic sociopathic element who are doing things like driving people like Kathleen Stock out of her livelihood.
They're just emails, aren't they? Like I could have got caught up in all that when I was younger. Like, it used to be goths, then they became emos, a little bit, touch, so we say. I'm sure they'll all grow out of it, but they've managed to make their subculture into the most oppressed group of people on the planet.
But not and in so doing are becoming the most authoritarian movement that we've seen in years. It's just an extraordinary moment in history when these people who pretend to be the most vulnerable are actually abusing women online, driving lesbians out of their spaces. It's an incredible thing. All right, so I might see you on Friday, actually, at the protest. Yeah, because I'm coming down for the LGBT Alliance. So I might linger just to say hello on Friday. Is there anything else before we go that you need to let people know? Anything else we can inform
just
people
to say, in the march, allies are welcome. We appreciate that this is something which, again, because Stonewall's lobbying has impacted on other vulnerable groups, you know, autistic people and women especially. If you want to come along, if you want to prepare a speech or a poem, something to say, please do. If you want to make a sign, I think handmade signs can be really cool, and they can go. I think they're quite good on the internet. Get a bit of viral pickup. Obviously, well, I'm not going to have to tell you to don't write a sign saying "suck my clit" or something.
Yeah, no. Let's not stoop to their level.
Yeah, just be funny with it, and anything else? If you want to learn more about the protest or you have any questions, there's an Eventbrite for it. Which you can sign up, and we'll be releasing more details as we come. There is a possibility of other groups doing different protests, so we'll release those as they come, if they come. In the meantime, I am Turfosaurus on Twitter. Well, I can be reached through Turfosaurus. It's like acting as the main organizer of all the national groups. So if you have a question, or if you want to get involved or give me any information, you can check out that account on Twitter. The DMs are open. And anything else? I've got a little list here, but
yeah, go on. Like that's what this is for.
It's my to-do list at home. It's like,
all right, okay. No, that's not what it's for. All right, brilliant. Well, look, it sounds great. It's fantastic that you've mobilized so quickly and that there's so many different protests going on. If you haven't heard of a protest in your local area, maybe you can start one and get in touch with DJ Lippy. She will give you some tips on how to do that. And the thing I would like to add is I'd like to echo what you just said there in terms of allies. I've said it before on my Substack, but it would be nice to see some men come to this, some straight men, or some men who are accompanying women, because sometimes I think I see all there's only women at these things, and I always think this should be twice as big, at least, you know. So if you have a friend who's worried about these issues, then keep her company and go along and support her. And otherwise, I hope to see you on Friday. And it sounds great.
Oh, can I just say one more thing? Speaking of allies,
sure.
I also want to thank Standing for Women and for All Women Scotland, who've been helping out with some funding and some organising in the background and helping, using their platforms to work as allies with ourselves. So much respect to those groups, because every little helps, and we've got like a little network now. So thank you for all your allyship with that.
Well, hasn't it been brilliant watching what really is a grassroots group kind of growing up out of this nonsense and fighting back against it. It's an honor, as always, to be on the same side as you, DJ Lippy. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you on Friday. So I'll see you then. Everyone else, see you on Wednesday for Ray Blanchard and the mess we're in. Until then, have a great week. Bye.
Bye. Ooh.
Oh, I did it wrong. I pressed the wrong button.